Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Good morning, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I met this snooker player last night and he's had an operation on his arms to make them they must be about 5 feet long. And the rest, as they say, is history.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean and I'm with Alan Cochrane.
Oh, hang on a minute. What's this development?
The cockerel?
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a sound effect.
Exactly, it's perfect. That's radio. You've arrived. And also because we're in the morning, you herald a new day. I see myself as the farmer and I feel you're on my fence.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know what my role is in this strange tragedy in the barnyard.
Well, I imagine you could handle a churn if pushed.
Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Frank, you know you made a joke quite early on, which I think was a rather fine joke.
What, in the show or in my career?
In the show?
Yes, I did.
Julie from Liverpool says the rest is history, like it.
Yeah, so what we were talking earlier, and Alun...
The cockerel.
Also, yeah.
Cockerel.
I'm not going to do it every time I say your name, don't worry. I'm just because it's
minutes off the show.
It's a novelty now, I can't leave it alone. You know what it's like. No. And... yeah, so and Alan was talking about something. He said, "Yeah, and the rest is history." And I just thought, oh, there's got to be a snooker joke in that. Mm. So snooker player gets his arms extended, and the rest is history. I was really. It felt like a proper joke. It had the template of a conventional gag.
Set up punchline, ha.
Yeah, exactly. So I was very happy with it, and you people who heard that, you're the first to hear it, probably the last. Well, you say that, but you're probably in the pub tonight. Saying, I met this snooker player. It's all right. Have it. Have it. Go on, enjoy yourselves with that one. I'm fine with that.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, well, it might not, but I can't hear whether people laugh or not. Everyone in it, Emma, the producer, just looked at me like I'd said something in Sanskrit.
It was withering, actually, her look.
It was a bit withering and confused, I think. You know when sometimes you're shouting at a dog and it doesn't know what you want? It wants to do it. It doesn't know what you want. It was that kind of look. Not that I'm saying you look canine in any way. Although your eyes are that sadness that one sometimes sees on maybe a spaniel. Yeah, anyway, so I spent the whole evening watching Andy Murray.
Oh, I watched some of that.
Well, the whole nation, they stopped the BBC. BBC One virtually closed down for Andy Murray. And there's a bit, every now and again, Sue Barker would come in and explain that if you'd just tuned in for a certain programme, it wasn't happening.
Like 1983, Sue Barker. I'm glad she still gets the work, Frank.
I love Sue Barker.
Yeah.
There's a bit where she said, if you've tuned in expecting to see EastEnders, maybe you should reevaluate your life. It's Friday night. You've tuned in especially... Oh, I mean, OK, if it's on, you can hear people saying, Sue, leave it. No, I know what I'm doing. OK, if it's on, fair enough, watch it. But to tune in specifically, and then to be crestfallen because we're watching a major sporting event. I mean, come on, you people. Sue, leave it. Will you get off my shoulder? It went on like that for ages. But it was...
So did you enjoy it, Frank?
I did enjoy it. It was... Did you?
Yeah, I didn't like that man, though. I know. That could mean a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
The man with the veins in his head. Is it Lubitschik or something? I don't know what his name is.
Yeah,
but he was the ugliest man I've ever seen on telly.
Oh, I don't know. He was all right up to the headband, I thought. And then beyond that, what he was, Alan, I know you were gigging last night, is that he was the man, I think he was called Clippity Clop. Is that right? There was a lube... It was an East European.
Yeah.
And he had a headband on, but he was bald. Now, I always associate the headband with, the Bjorn Borg to hold your hair out the way. But he obviously was using it to collect sweat. But I think it was a bit too tight.
I think it was.
So the skin of his bald head was slightly it was sort of squashed up. You know when you see a badly fitted circle of gingham on a homemade jam jar?
Yes.
The elastic is causing it to rise up. It was like that.
Do I know that? Yes.
Oh, well, I imagine you do. Yeah, it was. So I wasn't happy with that. But I tell you what, I watched that game, and I'm no expert, but I watched that game. I was on my own. And it gave me a bit of scope to concentrate and to do a bit of analysis. Mm-hmm. And I am not certain, but I would say I am 99% sure now that Andy Murray's mom and his girlfriend do not get on.
Oh, I love this.
No, I was watching them in the box.
Don't you love a shot of the box? I love that.
I felt there was an iron curtain between old Ma Murray, as I believe she's called on the circuit, and the beautiful model.
Kim Sears.
What's she called?
Kim Sears. Great hair.
Is that what she's called?
Yeah.
Kim Sears?
Yeah. Quite Middleton, I think. Don't you?
Oh, I know what you mean, but she's sandy-haired.
Okay.
But there was a bit... You know that Murray, he's one contribution, really, to popular culture, is to do a little punch with his right hand and go, come on! Mm-hmm. That's all he ever... That's it. I mean, if I was going to do that, G myself up a lot, I'd come up with some alternatives. So you could spin them around a bit, Occasionally go, oh, yes! Or, ha-ha! And then people will think, oh, which one's it going to be this time? I see the fist going, but which one, on the wheel of remarks spinning in his head, where will it stop? It'd be like a fabulous exclamation roulette. But it's always come, and there was a bit when they shot the mom, and the mom obviously feeling, who wants to sit next to a model? In
Especially
the box
not
anyway.
in that pink blazer.
Especially not one who's taken her son away from her after all she's given her entire life. She carried him for 9 months and ever since has always been putting him as a priority in her life, and now some strumpet turns up and takes him away from her, turning him against her behind her back. And the model does a little punch and goes, come on, like that. Murray style. And the mother looked absolute... That is our thing! That's our family thing! You come here and you do the little punch and say, come on, who the hell do you... Oh, it was it was such a tense moment. I loved it.
This is Frank Skinner.
Absolute
Radio.
Frank, during that musical interlude, I came up with a bit of a theory, didn't I? Regarding Andy Murray and Andy Murray's mother and Kim Sears and why they may not get on. Because I'd forgotten, but Andy Murray, they had a bit of a break, didn't they? Him and the girlfriend.
About a year ago.
And obviously he did that thing that you do when you split up with someone and go around saying how terrible they are, and everyone goes, I know, and she did this, and now she's got to sit with her and be civil.
Oh, I see. So you think the mother was saying, you're well shot of her.
I like the idea they had a break. In tennis terms, it seems appropriate, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think he had a banana during their... they were on a break.
060, are you sure she's a model? All I know about her is that she's the daughter of Nigel Sears, who's in charge of women's tennis in this country.
Oh, right. Oh, God,
dear.
It's all keeping in there. Oh,
And for
no.
more texts that should have gone to 5 Live, tune in on the next link.
Well, no, it's an interesting fact. Don't repel them early, for God's sake. Don't repel texters. Well, I think that's such a wasted opportunity, the family and friends section.
I love that
If only I'd thought ahead, it would have been worth spending my entire childhood and youth practising tennis to get to a level where I'd be able to play out Wimbledon, where they'd stop all the programmes on a night, and I could fill my family and friends with a different set of homeless people every day that I'd picked up on the way to the court. Hey, lads, you want to come watch some work? Oh, God! And just have them in there drinking cans of special brew and stuff. Horrifying.
I'd love to see our Keith in there. In that
Keith is not homeless, can I point that out?
I didn't say he was.
He might go in for homeless chic. But he's got a very nice place. I had a very fun night this week. I went to see an American comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Called Bo Burnham.
Oh, he's good, isn't he?
Have you seen him?
Well, he was in Edinburgh. He was quite the big deal last Edinburgh.
Yes, indeed. Do you know him, Alan?
I know of him. He's an internet sensation, isn't he? And
That's it.
Oh, he's putting down a bit.
Yeah, that's
He's
it.
putting down.
Intercomedial rivalry there.
in my day, you had to go out and do live gigs. All this internet sensation nonsense. What's the world coming to? But
Yes, you're quite right.
but he is very good. Apparently, I've not seen any of it. But
Well, yeah. I mean, in my day, you had to. You had to entertain the troops. That was the main
And
work.
in my day as well, but let's not go into that.
Yeah, well, exactly. Apparently, Marlene Dietrich, when she went out to entertain the troops, the German actress and singer, she did that. She thought these boys are out here fighting, and they deserve any comforts they can get, and she contributed to the war effort.
Great Marlene Dietrich gossip there.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoying that.
and very, very tactfully described as well. Very much.
Yeah, we're keeping it topical this morning. It's Marlene Dietrich in World War II shenanigans. Yeah, so I went to see Bo Burnham this. I mean, I should point out he was in Edinburgh. I think he just he celebrated his 20th birthday when he was at the Edinburgh Festival. So he's a bit like a comedy Mozart. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing the Cockerel as a sort of Salieri figure. Too many notes, Burnham. Too many jokes. So anyway, when I saw him in Edinburgh, I thought he was so brilliant. Oh, Alan now, he's looking at me daggers.
Can I just say, Frank, there's a bit of an atmosphere.
There is.
Ross Abbott atmosphere in the room.
Oh, no.
If you don't mind me saying.
Oh, no, I hate that. Personally, I hate a party with a lot of atmosphere. I don't know about you. I remember I went to one with Andy Murray's mum and his girlfriend. You could cut the atmosphere with a knife. I think Monica Seles did. But she was demonstrating I don't know what it was about. Anyway, look, so I saw him in Edinburgh. I was so exhilarated by this hour of comedy, by this kid, this teenager, that when I got out into the street, I ran as fast as I could for about 50 yards before I broke down.
Short sprint.
Yeah, well, I'm 50 odd. So anyway, I met him after this show on Saturday, and I said, nice to meet you. I said, when I saw you in Edinburgh, and I told him this story, and he looked bemused. And I said, look, you can get your laughter, you can get your applause, you can get your standing ovations, but how much sprinting have you had?
Yeah.
As way of appreciation. And he moved on to talk to some young girls. That was the end of that. But there was a moment when I said to him, I said, I think you're brilliant. I said, if I died today, I am confident that the future of stand-up comedy is in good hands.
That's nice.
And about 4 people who were listening to us talk applauded spontaneously.
That is nice.
Did they?
Yeah. And I said to this...
Did they slow hand clap?
No, it was a proper applause.
Okay.
And I said to Bo Burnham, I said, now, when you can get applause in the midst of casual conversation, then you know you've arrived. He moved on again. I mean, I was moving him around that room like those blokes that spin the waltzers round at the fair.
Frank on
Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, text in from Robert. Employer has banned tea breaks. The rest is history.
Yeah?
Oh,
Yeah,
I like it.
There's another text coming about Lubicic, the tennis player.
I thought Lubicic was some sort of
Action.
rude command. I think I'll make that decision in conference with my partner. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pleased you mentioned about Lubicic.
Oh, now you've said it again.
How tight it was. I thought his head resembled half of an Easter egg. The chocolate is always dimpled, never perfectly smooth. It spoilt the whole game for me. Now, I thought they were going to say it spoilt Easter eggs for me forevermore, but apparently it spoilt... My brother, when we were children, my brother fractured his skull by cycling into a stationary van. Horrible. But
I thought he was going to say he was mistaken for an Easter egg and
no,
schoolboys cracked it.
The lump on his head swelled up and it was literally like half of an Easter egg. And I remember this because I have a very vivid memory of us all being gathered around pressing it.
Oh!
Like house guests were invited. Do you want to press his head? Have we got that? Look, it's a fractured skull.
And did it have a bit of give in it?
Yeah, oh yeah. It had a rubbery feel to it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't the whole head. It was one. It was a raised section.
It was a raised half Easter egg sized section.
Like he was wearing a small bowler.
Indeed.
You see, I'd have got him a brim to sit around that.
Well, what's the skull cap? He could have just popped a skull cap over it.
Is it a couple?
Yeah.
Could have been.
Or I think Yamulka, I think is.
Yamulka.
Yeah, Yamulka, sorry. My the word was right. My stress was a bit off. Can't get everything right, can you? What else?
Well, we've had another text in.
Oh, okay.
Dear Frank, Emily and the Cockerel, maybe Andy Murray should adopt the Peter Crouch robot as a celebration due to their similar builds.
Nice.
And Crouch probably won't need it anytime soon. Oh, little football dig there.
To be honest, I think he needs to get away from the robot element, Andy Murray, and move towards a sort of a warm humanity.
A humanoid version.
Yeah, that's right. He needs to somebody that looks a bit more, so people go, rather than, ooh.
I always feel sorry for him when people say he's miserable. He's not. He's Scottish and he plays a summer sport. He's just out of his comfort zone. That's all it is. He's not miserable.
Cannot say that the Cockerel is Scottish, so he can say that.
He's not been rained on for about 15 years. It's not right.
No, I don't know. I imagine living with his mother. It's a bit like being in a raging storm.
I don't know if he still lives with his mother.
Doesn't he? Oh, I bet she turns up a lot, though, even if he's got his own place.
She looks the type, doesn't she?
Oh, she's got that boy on her tied to her apron.
I noticed, you were talking about applause during your Bo Burnham anecdote. Talking of applause, I noticed during the Andy Murray game there was some applause I didn't like, which was that kind of like fast, just before a match point when everyone starts going...
Yes.
Getting all excited. Oh, it made me retch. I didn't like it.
They like to have fun at Wimbledon, don't they?
I don't like that.
It's a middle class crowd, and so they shout "come on" quite a lot. Actually,
they do.
If you took the phrase "come on" out of Wimbledon coverage, you might as well watch the whole thing mute.
Yeah.
Come on, Andy. Come on, Andy. Come on. Come on, Andy. Come on. I've told you don't say that. I applauded spontaneously the other day outside of a performance scenario. I was walking down Whitehall in London, and I watched this man in a large lorry. Well, it's a separate cab from the rest. Is that an articulated?
Yeah.
Yeah, like an 18-wheeler.
Yeah. I didn't count. But anyway, there was a narrow alley. I mean, really narrow, and I thought he's not. He's going in there to turn around. He's not going to reverse into that, is he? And he did. He smoothly reversed this massive vehicle into the... And I applauded.
Yeah.
And he looked, and him and his mate, who I must say had done nothing. I suppose he's going to suggest it, giving him some guidance. But they looked at me, and I applauded, and they gracefully acknowledged my applause.
Excellent.
It was a beautiful thing. I thought, God, if that had... And I'll tell you something, it was such a perfect moment, because in a lot of situations, the lorry would have spoilt the poetry of it by going, and it wasn't doing that. I don't know how they'd muted it. It was gliding in silently. Oh, made me feel properly happy. And then I had a strange incident with the cab driver. But first of all, music.
We only have this extra. This is Frank Skinner
Absolute
Radio.
So I was crossing the road with my girlfriend, Kath. Because you get to my age, you don't want to be crossing the road on your own. And if you hesitate for a second, there's a Boy Scout in your arm and they want a shilling. Anyway, a cab driver, I don't know if he wound the window down or if it was wet, and he said to me, he shouted out of the window, "You're very funny."
Was it Marky Smith?
Yeah. No, but this was where it left me, dilemma-wise. I couldn't tell whether he'd said, "You are very funny," or "You aren't very funny."
Oh, no.
I couldn't. The aren't bit was lost in a bit of traffic noise. And that plagued me for, a day and a half? And Kath was saying to me, "No, I heard it quite clearly. He definitely said and I thought, how lovely that you're doing that for me. But
nice.
you know as well as I do, it's a toss of a coin. But even now, and he was... he looked quite a cool dude, a man of firm opinion who wouldn't be afraid to say what he what he felt, be it negative or positive.
It's almost like a philosophical test for you to decide whether or not you're optimist or pessimist.
It is, yeah, exactly. Is the cab window half shut or half open? That's it. So anyway, if that cab driver's listening, what did you say? What did you say? It's keeping me awake at night, I'll be honest with you.
know,
I mean,
now
what if it was
people
hard? Sorry?
People are going to text him pretending to be
I
him
know.
now.
I know.
Someone else texted in on 429, the guy that was playing Andy Murray, his head coming through his headband reminded me of my baby being born.
How lovely. Well, if you'd Luberchick, then that would have been a lot easier.
Oh, my goodness.
What is
His
this
child is a top-rated tennis player, that's what he meant.
Oh, well, fair enough.
No.
Frank, can we talk about me?
Settle down in your chair, Alan.
Yes.
Could be take some time.
So I've moved into my new place, my new pad.
Lovely.
Which is, well, it is rather lovely, I have to say. But I've found...
Can I stop you there? Is it? Should we say congratulations? I don't know what the situation is.
You
if you
should
move
have
into
at some point. You haven't. That's okay, no big deal.
Congratulations for moving into a flat.
Yeah.
Okay. Congratulations.
No, for buying it all myself.
Congratulations.
Okay. Well, congratulations. I mean, it's a grander congratulations for being the sort of bright, persevering, determined woman who is able to get that much personal income and to buy your own flat. Congratulations on
Oh,
that.
I really like that.
And quite a lot of contacts. As well. In case there's anyone at home feeling bad about themselves.
So, now we've come to the point where I'm decorating and I'm arranging my bits and bobs. You know what that's like, Frank.
Yes.
And what did strike me, as all my furniture arrived, it's all had to go. Because it's all quite shabby chic. And as I looked at it in my new situ, which is quite Mad Men, quite sleek lines, quite modern, it just looked a bit mental Victorian dowager.
Oh, God, you've outgrown your old look.
You know what, Frank? My aesthetics changed.
Oh, no.
That's what I hate it when that happens.
That can be expensive.
Yeah. My aesthetics changed. I want Don Draper, clean, hard lines now.
Yes.
That's what I want. Like amoral 1960s businessman. That's the vibe of my pad, yeah.
Oh, Don Draper, I thought, was 1950s English cleargyman. Oh, last Don Draper.
But Frank, there's a lot of white. It's a bit of a white fest. So it does mean I'm going to have a shoes-off rule. Now, I don't like shoes-off people. I don't consider myself a shoes-off people. And they're very unspontaneous, horrible people on the whole.
Well, careful with that.
OK, sorry. What are your...
I mean, there are entire nations where taking your shoes off is... you know, and
we don't want the Hindus texting in and the Buddhists and everybody.
Well, we do want them texting in. Can I make that perfectly clear?
Angrily.
No, not angrily, ever. No.
So what are your views on shoes
I felt you were
off?
skating around the religions who might text in angrily, but we'll leave it there.
What are both of your views on shoes off?
Well, our house is a bit of a... How can I describe the way I'd say our house is kind of... it's very Arthur and Marilyn. Do you know what I mean? Arthur Miller married Marilyn Monroe, and it was a meeting of two different worlds. And in our house, on the coffee table, I noticed the weekend, there was the News of the World magazine, a brassiere, and the collected poems of William Carlos Williams. And so, rules of tidiness are quite a big thing with me, because... there's always clothes about. And I made a rule that in our lounge, and this was only a few months ago, and I did this thing, which is a little bit of a tip for couples. If you do a rule, make it that you're the victim and you're doing it to punish yourself. So I say, oh, God, look at my coats over there, and there's my shoes. It's about time I stopped doing that. I'm making this place a mess. Let's have a rule that we don't have any clothes, bags or shoes in the lounge. I thought that's got round. There was one point where there was a chair, and it had on it my shirt, my jacket and my overcoat. And I thought, who's going out? Is it me or the chair? So I brought in that rule, but, oh, man, Kathy's bending. She thinks, what I'll do is I'll bring in a coat and I'll fold it up and put it on a shelf. Yeah. It's still in the lounge.
Oh, very much so.
She's doing the old minimising clutter tactic without removing.
But if you fold a jacket, it's still a jacket.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You've got to have house rules, though, I feel.
Oh, God, yeah.
Our house isn't quite a shoes-off house, but I do take my shoes off. We've got wooden floors. That's the thing. You can guests, they can keep their shoes on if they want. I'd rather they didn't, but sometimes people wear holy socks and they get a bit self-conscious and they want to keep
Well, Don
their wellies
Draper
on.
always wears holy socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to know. I'm going to make this a formal texting. What are our listeners' house rules? Because some people have very, very strange ones.
Have we told them the number to text in on, Frank? Remind them.
Well, I mean, I'm an artist, not a mathematician.
Okay, I'm doing the housekeeping. 8, 12, 15.
8, 12, 15.
Frank,
We'd like to know what
text
you're...
in on 199. Love your out and about around London anecdotes, Frank. Think you should stand for London Mayor?
Well, Eddie Izzard is planning to do that in 9
God.
years' time. He's going to stand for mayor. What, in those heels? Yes! And so I won't be doing that because I wouldn't want to step on Eddie's toes. What, in those heels? Yes. Also, I don't know, in our house, I've become very intimidated by the fridge.
Oh, dear.
I've got one of these, it's quite a nice fridge, and if you have the door open for more than 30 seconds, it goes like that to tell you to shut the door. Yeah, exactly. And Kath's completely blasé. She ignores the fridge. And I'm on the other side of the lounge going, fridge! Fridge! And because if you leave it, it'll do another, ooh, and the second one for me, that's the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
But honestly, it's ruling me with a rod of iron. What I'm doing, before I open the fridge door, I'm really getting sorted in my head what I'm taking out. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm taking it all out in one go. That door is never left ajar. I feel I'm being made to... Now, the end of that sentence is this week's phone-in. I just couldn't think of anything. So, there I'm being victimised by my own fridge. I think I'm being made to... I'll leave it with you.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had lots of texts in re-house rules.
Fabulous.
They've got a lot of house rules, these listeners, haven't they?
Yeah.
We've got a text in 602. In my house, shoes have to come off. I think it's rude not to. I'd never leave mine on at anyone else's. Also, people have to have a coaster if they have a drink. Also, I won't let my friends lay down on my sofa. That's from Reese.
That's a great rule.
Yeah.
I like that.
I wonder at what level they start to lean and recline a bit, that he's going, hold on, I think we're in the territory now of laying.
If you're beyond an airline seat,
Yeah.
back.
I like to think there's a protractor on the armrest that he can put against them.
An alarm goes off.
And I wonder if that changes, like if they're overnight guests, are they allowed to lie on the couch, or if it's just visitors?
Well, I mean, if it was a sofa bed, that would be a ludicrously strict.
You can't have that rule on a futon, can you?
No, I think he's got his... I'm saying it's a heat. For all,
Yeah, it's
a
Reese. Reese.
Oh, I thought this was the
Oh,
number.
Reese.
Some are just a number.
They do come in just the number sometimes. Frank, your house is starting to sound a bit like bed knobs and broomsticks with all the anthropomorphised furniture. Has Angela Lansbury been there magicking things up without your consent because that's not on? I think that's a reference to your chair wearing all your clothes wandering around.
Oh God! Well, if you saw my cushions, I'll tell you about my cushions sometime.
They're just wearing a baseball cap and a scarf and some sunglasses.
They are. They have their own identities. But we shouldn't talk about this now. Let's,
Oh, okay.
Frank, 073, cigarettes on the marble floor but never on the carpet.
Oh, I
Sounds
see.
like my childhood.
It sounds like the court of Caligula. Does he mean... He doesn't mean put out, he means he
I
or
think it's
she.
a party rule, possibly.
So where you smoke.
Yes, when you're having friends round, because people do that. They have a few drinks, they
But
forget.
it can damage marble.
Oh, yeah, it can damage marble, all right.
Yeah, be careful.
I like the fact that we're more worried about the smoking damaging the marble than the people. That's a
Yeah,
nice
but, the marble has no choice.
True enough. Yeah. It's passive marble smoking.
I mean, I know it's not essentially porous, but it'll take a burn.
There's another one I liked, 537. You can't eat in the lounge unless you're over 18.
That is a great rule. Although I think it needs a caveat. I think it needs brackets and a responsible eater, close brackets.
That is so formal. That's like saying only 2 school children in the lounge at any one time.
Another great rule. That's been a great rule.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
How marvellous. That was Joy Division. Love Will Tear Us Apart. None if you lube a chick. That's what I keep.
Frank, you know, we were talking about house rules earlier. We've had a text in...
My gaff, my rules. Wrong show, dear.
Oh, good use of dear. Camp stage manager. My dad says he once went round a managing director's house, and once you took your shoes off, you were expected to put on 1 pair of slippers from his collection. In case you were wondering, he had plenty for each size.
Well, that's nice, isn't it?
Extraordinary.
Just in case you're struggling to catch your own verrucas, you can go and use some shared slippers.
Did he live in a bowling alley? No,
We've also had a text from someone saying, my ex-wife used to clean the house all the way through every day, even though we were both at work from 7:30am until 7pm. We didn't have any animals, children. I had to move the furniture, including TV and fully loaded Welsh dresser, so she could hoover behind them every night, with question marks, might I add. Crazy. I wonder whatever happened to her. That's less of a text about the house rules and more a description of some despair there in that gentleman's life.
I thought there was a hint that the police should maybe do some digging in his garden. That last bit was a bit ominous. I wonder what happened to her.
Yeah, I've cleaned really thoroughly.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Frank, one of my favourite stories this week...
By the way, the texts are 8, 12, 15. Sorry, Emily.
It's all right, my darling. This isn't something I ever expected to say on this show, but one of my favourite stories of the week has been revolving around DLT. Are you familiar with his work?
Is it meat flies? I am familiar with his work, yes. I think I told this story on the show, I once went to see him live. Well, I didn't go to see him live.
Behind a keyboard?
I went to a kind of a disco.
Oh.
And he happened to be the discotheque. I found him hateful. Anyway, let's forget that. Let's start with a clean sheet.
You found him hateful, but Burmese pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi said he was a lifeline for her while she was under house arrest for 15 years. She listened to his show every day, and she's now everyone... I mean, people are quite surprised to hear this.
Yes.
DLT not so. He says he's touched but not surprised.
Yes. I've always thought he might be touched.
Yeah.
He, well, that's the Burmese pro-democracy.
Yeah, Aung San Suu Kyi.
I don't know about you, that's really put me off democracy. I think I might move to something a bit more authoritarian if that's the kind of people they're churning out.
I don't know if it makes me shallow, but when you were saying that she was under house arrest, I was thinking, did she have her shoes off or on in the house?
I suppose if you're under house arrest, yeah, you're gonna work that out in a full time. You'll get a heavy duty slipper.
Kick the shoes off.
No cigarettes on marble floor,
Get
though.
the feet up on a stool or something.
I imagine that DLT's core audience are people under house arrest. I think people with the option of going out and screaming in the garden would take that. Oh, wow. I'm being hostile, but they did say in the interview, what do you think of your modern radio presenters? And he said, I plead the Fifth.
Yes.
And then he said, I plead the Fifth Amendment, thinking, the interviewer might not have got what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Thinking he might have been pleading to say the fifth column, which,
Well, to be fair, when he was around, it was pre-access to so much American culture. So he doesn't know we're familiar. We're very at ease talking about things American.
I think law in America was still in its formative years.
Well, that's
when
true.
He was around. Yeah, I mean, he also said, he was on about this show that doesn't exist
Is this
anymore.
broken English by any chance?
Yes, exactly. So we got letters from people all over the world written in their wonderful broken English. DLT, you are a big-hearted man.
You can't say that, not anymore.
No. He said, I didn't know this, it said that, because I think I used to listen, you just listened to Radio 1, that was all I ever listened to. It said that his catchphrase was coming at you, spelt Y-A, obviously.
Obviously.
Coming at you through the cornflakes.
Oh, is that why he became known as the hairy cornflake?
No, I think it's because he had terrible psoriasis.
He had a beard and no napkin.
I don't think it's a patch on. Yeah, if he'd have gone for that, I think he did. What was that one he did? You go quack quack.
Yeah, quack, quack,
Quack, quack,
Yeah.
oops, yeah.
But I always thought she was a heroic figure.
Aung San Suu Kyi.
Yeah, or as DLT calls it, ASSY. And which actually doesn't work so good if you see it written down. But I've really gone off her now. In fact, I've
gone off her?
I have. If she's a DLT enthusiast, I think I'd be tempted to say, "Come on, back in you get,
Back in that house.
back in that house now, and come out again when you've learnt some sense." You gotta be firm with these people. I've never been so disillusioned. Only one thing can lift me out of this despair.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had a text in on 974. My house rules are the
Not
same.
on 974. That's
Oh,
gonna,
no, I'm
now
sorry.
people will start texting us on 974.
I meant to say from 974. I
Oh,
do
no.
apologise.
Was it 281215? Is that what
It was.
Not 281215. Here's the text, right? Pause. 81215. Close brackets.
Well, this is slick.
974. From 974. My house rules are the same as Catherine the Great's and include all ranks shall be left outside the doors, similarly hats and particularly swords, and eat well of good things, but drink with moderation. There you go.
That's the sort of thing you could have.
Yeah.
Maybe on a sampler. Our producer Emma embroiders. And maybe
doesn't even do that.
maybe you could put that on one of your... Because, how many bless these houses do you need? I think she sold 4 in 10 years.
I'm trying and failing to incorporate a rule of no room-to-room shouting in my house. It's,
Now, that is something that, even though we're quite open plan...
Yes, you are.
How often do I hear my girlfriend say, "Don't talk to me when I'm in the kitchen! Wait till I come back in there!" And it's not actually a separate room, there's just like a tiny wall. But in the kitchen, there's electric kettles, there's microwaves, there's things that... They're noisy.
yeah.
Then there's the fridge going... every now and again.
Can't hear
The
you
Kate
over the
Bush
fridge.
fridge. I love the Kate Bush
Well,
fridge.
obviously I'm going, "Fridge!"
So Alan was telling me he was very excited, Frank, because he considers this job to be like a Saturday job.
It's my first Saturday
Yeah.
job for over 20 years, and it's my first nickname in adulthood, the Cockerel. I'm not sure how I feel about adults that give themselves nicknames or that accept other people bestowing nicknames upon them.
I think accepting it's all right.
All right.
It
Oh,
has
I
been-
definitely think
Or
that's fine.
humbly accept.
I think some people are born with nicknames, some achieve nicknames, and some people have nicknames thrust upon them.
Nice. I even know the reference to that as well.
Good.
Text in if you know.
No, they'll all know. They're a very bright crowd.
I'm
Yeah.
pleased by that. But yeah, I feel like I've come a long way since I washed dishes in Bailey's Cafe in Dewsbury for, I think it was £20, but there's a bit of me that thinks it can't have been £20 back then. It must have been a tenner.
Well, when was this, would you say?
This would be over 20 years ago.
I'm so jealous that you're able to speak so freely about dates and times. I just can't do that.
No, when-
I could never say over 20
Believe me,
years ago.
if you tell us about your Saturday job, I will not be
Thanks.
saying, "When was that?" I give you my word.
I'm
I'll
more
be saying,
open book.
How was the Crimea? But that's a good job, though, washing dishes.
It's very hot. No wonder chefs are so angry if they started in kitchens in their teens and they're still there in their 30s. No wonder they're angry, because it's a hot environment. But I did get braising steak and mashed potato for lunch, and I think then I got excited of going, wow, I'll do anything for a free lunch.
I'd forgotten that braising steak existed, so that's been a lovely walk down
Lovely.
down memory lane
And
for
it's
me.
nice, you know.
It's like I saw today that one of the England cricketers got injured falling over a medicine ball, and I thought, what was he in a 1930s boxing gymnasium with people in roll neck sweaters?
All of that stuff's coming back. The old school training methods are coming back. Kettlebells, medicine balls, sandbags, it's all coming back.
Oh, okay.
Dinosaur training is the new
fighting.
thing.
Dinosaur training.
Yes.
I find them obstinate in the extreme.
Very difficult.
Alan's in a fight club at weekends. That's what he does on Saturdays.
I am
God.
not, but that sounds like a good idea. I've got a lot of pent-up anger.
Did you ever work on Saturdays, Frank? Or did you have like a part-time job?
I have never ever had a Saturday job.
Haven't you?
I know there were stories about me and Frankie Sandford, but she was tying my shoelaces. I never have. I don't know why that was exactly, but I feel bad about it. I think it was to do with football.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Incidentally, Frankie Sandford from the Saturdays. I was in a sitcom in the about 1990 called Blue Heaven, right?
Yeah.
My character name was Frank Sandford,
No.
and I'm wondering if there's a connection there. If she's, if there's a,
She's a fan of Blue Heaven.
yeah. In the second sitcom I wrote, I was called Brady Gaga. I'm starting to think that these women are onto me.
There's a definite pattern.
Did you have?
I did. I worked in an antique shop, which was a front for the firm.
The firm?
Well, they were gangsters. They were essentially gangsters. I didn't know at the time. I found out later. Everyone's gone very silent, like it's weird or something.
That's quite a big an antique shop
Well, I was
owned by
suspicious
gangsters.
because they never sold anything, and they used to meet in the back room. This is honestly true. And they used to say there was a guy called Ginger. There was someone called Ginger,
Brilliant.
and they used to kind of talk all the time. And they'd say, "Yeah, it was anyone?" I asked my mum, and I said, "They never sell anything, and they're really nice, but they just kind of smoke in this little back room."
What a strange front now for gangsters.
Yeah,
They
it was
used to
really
hold
weird.
up banks with muskets.
And my mum said, "Oh, darling, they're gangsters."
Oh,
As if
dear.
I should have known.
That is. Did they
It was
pay?
brilliant.
Did they pay all right?
They did say they did pay very well cash. Natch.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Natch.
Yeah, Natch.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love.
And they always said they'd look after me. They did honestly say that.
Did they?
Nice.
So I'm just putting that out there.
No, that's yeah.
My
Just,
mate-
just trying to stop those nasty texts coming in.
My mate had a job in a donut factory, putting the jam in donuts, and they got quite expert at knowing how much they could fill a donut with jam before it exploded, and then sending it out looking like a normal donut and knowing that someone would bite into it and jam would just go everywhere. I've always remembered that story when he told me. I thought, that's a fun job. I'd do that on minimum wage just for the putting jam in donuts fun.
I
It's
did a
bit-
similar thing. I used to work in a hamster blood transfusion unit.
Thanks.
Anyway, I'd love to know. I'd love to know what Saturday jobs the listeners had. I'm not saying that they'll tell us, but I'd love to know anyway. And they can text us on 8 12 15 with that information. Oh, I love it when it all works out.
This is Frank Skinner
Absolute.
Radio.
Kids, MGMT. Now, it's interesting because when I used to be around the Hollywood studios, I always found that the MGMT was probably the worst. The T at Universal, you could say exactly where you wanted it, little bit builders, it was sorted. MGM, you got what you got. I certainly wouldn't be immortalising it in a band name, let's put it that way.
Frank, we've had lots of Saturday jobs.
Oh, they're coming in thick and fast now, the Saturday jobs. I particularly like, let's just see, I used to sweep the forecourt of the garage at the end of the lane when I was, hang on, there we go, when I was about 14. It took about half an hour and the owner gave me £1. He fired me when he caught me stealing pornography. Now, two wrongs do not make a right.
No, that is right. That is right. I mean, you might think that you are the Robin Hood of the dirty book, but let me assure you.
Hi, Frank. When I was 11, I worked in a butcher's shop.
Was that a text or was
Yeah.
suddenly completely the most unlikely Emily Dean story of all time?
My brother worked in a butcher's shop, and a popular prank there was to put a pig's tail in a cup of tea that somebody was drinking, which is horrible.
What, they'd mistake it for... They should have gone for a cocktail. They would have thought it was a curly straw. You'd be socking the end of that tail for 5 minutes.
I'm not sure how many mojitos they were drinking in a Murfield butcher's shop.
Can I have a pork mojito? Please. Oh, this straw.
Just not
Oh, it's
working.
like I think there's some sort of cartilage. Yeah. I'm
Frank,
thinking pointy end, by the way. Let's keep
Yeah,
this,
oh,
let's
pointy,
keep this
definitely.
clean.
Frank Graham says, my Saturday job was in a card factory operating the shrink wrap machine. I used to get other people's shoes in handbags and put them through it. Harmless fun, happy days. Harmless fun will be the judge of that. You put my Chloe through there.
Pardon?
Goodness.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry,
well,
I
exactly
thought
my
that
bag.
was your niece.
Now, Frank, it can't have escaped your notice. It's there's a festival going on this weekend, apparently.
Yes, there is, I believe. Well, actually...
Well, Absolute aren't sponsoring it, though.
No, then as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist.
What are Absolute doing? They've got
Well, the
something else.
only festivals that I really like are all sponsored by Absolute.
They do ones called Hard Rock or
Isle of
something.
Wight, Hard Rock Calling,
Hard Rock Calling.
Easter, I think they do.
Got
They
you.
do Easter. They bring a lovely Absolute Easter egg with the purple, the Absolute purple. So they have the purple wrapping, and then when you break the egg open for the little children, there's an advert inside it. For
With a Lubitschek head.
yeah.
The problem with sponsoring Easter commercially is that it moves around each year. There's no fixed point.
Because if
well
you did
branded, is it?
Lubitschek, you wouldn't need the egg casing.
No, so true. But, Frank, I know... Where do you two stand on festivals? Because I know where I stand.
Sorry, did I trample on your peripatetic Easter point?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
Where do you two stand on festivals? Alan, I haven't established this. I think I'm fairly confident
Right
of
at the
where.
back, generally.
Yeah.
Not in a Winnebago.
I don't like the mosher. I'm too old for a
Alan?
mosh pit.
I've never been to what I believe the youth call Glassdoor. In fact, it annoys me when they call it Glassdoor now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have gone perhaps when I was younger, but I haven't now, and now I've gone too far past that point.
You're with child as
Yeah,
well.
and also
Is he?
I'm pregnant for listeners.
I thought he just misbuttoned his cardigan.
Had a few too many rolls. Yeah, I think we've sort of gone past that now. I don't think I could do it. And my
You're
wife,
dressing Frank and I.
my wife has been several times to Glastonbury and told me a quite unpleasant story about the toilets being supposedly sucked into some lorry and then pressing blow instead of suck, and just the chaos that ensued. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a shy toileter. I don't think I could do.
Yes.
Are you a shy toileter?
I don't like an audience. I don't like people talking.
We don't get... I mean, there is an audience, but they're generally watching the bands.
Oh, I see. I've entirely
You've got
misunderstood
completely
this
mixed
whole
up.
thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a very... I think of myself as a very open toileter. But I went once to Glastonbury, and I was with a guy called Chris Luby, who was a performer.
Lubitschek?
Chris... yeah.
Did he have a sweatband?
He paid me at the end with a Chris Luby check.
I might clap.
So he slept in my tent, and his thing is used to the military sound effects.
I've worked with him.
Oh, well, do you know him? Yeah.
Alan did a little clap.
So he'd say, oh, and yes, and I saw the, here come the British Grenadier Guard. And it sounded brilliant.
Amazing.
So we got him in the tent, 3 o'clock in the morning, he starts going... I said, Chris, is that you, or is there a coup d'etat? And he couldn't stop. We'd get in the car and he'd say, right, chocks away. And, oh, please. So that put me off. And then the next morning I was woken up by... This is very Glastonbury. I was woken up by white people playing Bob Marley very loudly. When I looked at the tent flap, one of them was juggling. I said, let's go home.
Yeah, it's the tent aspect. It's not just that aspect, it's every aspect of it, really, that doesn't appeal to me.
But as I say, Hard Rock Calling, which is sponsored by Absolute, which is on this weekend, is as good a time as one could possibly have. I mean, 3 hours of Bon Jovi.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you've ever had mouth ulcers, but that well sorted out.
Frank on
Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had some emails in during the week. Do you remember we did an impromptu text-in last week about sort of left-wing communist business names?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. It all come from, I saw, there's a left-wing bookshop in Bloomsbury in London called Bookmarks, and only this week did I realise it was a pun on Marx, as in Karl Marx.
and people loved that, and didn't they contribute?
Oh God, it was fab. It was one of our best ever phones.
Where they're still sending them in. Someone in the middle of the week sent in the Eastern Blockbuster, a drapery pressing service for iron
No,
curtains.
hold on. Eastern Blockbuster, that's the video shop,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
a video shop.
Great.
Then his other idea, is iron curtains, drapery pressing service. That's from Martin.
I had one, it was, I've been thinking about it, I can't get it out of my mind. This is one, it's not quite left-wing, it's more sort of, I don't know what it is. It's an Iraqi baby products shop. It's called the Mother of All Care. What do you think?
I quite like
You
it.
don't get it?
I don't get it.
It was like, oh well.
Oh, mother care. There we go.
Oh, thanks very much.
Oh, you didn't get that part of it.
And then there was a sort of variation. I was watching the news this week when there was the riots in Greece, and they interviewed this bloke, very rough-looking, sort of hairy bloke, a Greek bloke, going on about,
Peter Andre.
about the government. Oh, he was much hairier than that. And I made myself laugh alone at home by saying, "Oh, it should have gone to neck shavers."
Very good. Very good, Frank. Can I read you the other email?
Oh, please do.
Was, the best name, this is from Connor Nolan, the best name for a left-wing rugby supply store, Triangles. I was so happy when I came up with this that I felt I had to share it with you. I did this instead of revise for my A-levels.
Well,
Do you not get it?
I don't get
Frank,
it. Rugby supply.
Triangles, so it's a rugby try. So it's triangles. It
Right. works
works on 3 levels, Frank.
But is there something called triangles?
No, but it's a rugby supply store and it's called Triangles. I'm going to have to count it. This is so boring while I try and explain this to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, my advice is get on with your A-levels.
We only have this extra. This is Frank Skinner
Absolute.
Radio.
James, sit down. That's the sort of Joyce Grenfell school of this jockeying.
We've had I think, an amusing text in.
Let the listeners decide.
Set the bar high there.
You
Off
have.
to see Bon Jovi tonight, as my friend is a big fan. Feels more like a Saturday job to me. I'm pleased by that. It's good on you. Although slippery when wet, you can't argue with. It was my first.
Luberchick. That's what I've always said.
Slippery when wet was the first album I liked all the way through.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting all the way through.
Yeah, there's very few albums I like all the way through.
There must be some fall ones, all of those.
Well, the Fall are often a mix of brilliance and then, I don't
That's
know
their thing,
I don't know
isn't
why
it?
that one's there. Yeah, he always puts a couple of fillers on.
When you have that level of output.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Christian from Sheffield, Latin American Marxist barbershop, Shave Guevara. There you go.
Excellent.
Now, Frank, you know I've been a little obsessed by this
People in
week.
Sheffield, there's got to be a blade involved somewhere in their
Oh,
jokes.
very good. I get that, Frank. I get that.
Good.
I've been quite obsessed by Michelle Collins this week.
Oh yeah.
I tell you why. She's pitched up on Coronation Street. And,
Yes. I haven't watched
But
it.
you see, she was EastEnders, and I don't like soap shifters, as I call them. Don't like soap shifters.
Okay.
Stick to your soap, is what I say. But also, she's a well-known Cockney, and now she's doing a Manchester accent, and it hasn't gone well for her.
She's got the thing, though. I can see why she gets a lot of work in that, because she looks very washed out, and those are the people they want in the soaps. Mm-hmm. I think people think that's what I call acting. You're doing what Johnny Depp is a very good-looking bloke, and I think he's a brilliant actor, but he'll never be taken seriously looking like that. But if you look like you've been through the mill, that's what gets the awards. Good on her.
Hard worn.
Good on her, I
It's
say.
like when they try and make Brad Pitt look ugly, he just grows a beard and looks like a really good-looking man with a beard, doesn't he? He never really looks.
I find that I judge it like, if I see a drama advertised on the telly, if it's got ugly people in it, I think I'm watching. This is going to be good stuff. If they look a bit, well dressed, I go, no. Anyway.
But no, Didn't Freddie Flintoff even said her accent was bad?
Did he?
I've heard the accent. Have you heard it?
Is he doing a TV critic column? Yeah.
Victor Lewis Smith. No, I've heard the accent. It's not great. It's a bit sort of rather Mancunian, but it's quite a hard accent. You see that one? I can only say sunshine. That's the only word I can say in Mancunian.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
For a moment there, I thought Liam Gallagher had come in. Why does she have to have a Manchester accent? Is the suggestion that everyone in Manchester is from Manchester?
Well, exactly.
She could just be up there for the football.
Yeah. Or the excellent lifestyle that it affords. I live in Manchester. It's nice, and not everyone's from there. I'm not.
Exactly. You can have Londoners there. Why? I don't know why she has to do the accent.
But you're from near there, aren't you, Alan? Which soap are you, Emmerdale? If you had to be a soap, no, but I think you can do that with people. Like I'd be EastEnders. Would you be Emmerdale? I think you probably would be.
Probably in geography, yeah.
Yes.
I would have grown up nearest to Emmerdale, or perhaps Heartbeat.
I think you're more like the mini-series of Saturday Night and Sunday Morning.
Right, that's not one that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, look, I think it's the first novel I ever read.
Oh, there you go.
Look it up, Alan Sillitoe.
Oh, I love Alan Sillitoe.
But you don't know Saturday Night and Sunday Morning?
No, I know the
You don't have to read novels by people with the same name as you.
Anyway, look, this is starting to sound like Richard and Judy's book club. Let's keep it a bit Absolute Radio, otherwise, goodness, do you think I'm not worried enough by the for sale signs outside the studios? Without you pushing it to the limit. Ben Jones has arrived, by the way. Ben Jones, who I met in a health shop.
Did you?
On Thursday night. Buying, Ben Jones has been doing his
What were you both doing there?
bodybuilding thing. Oh, well, I was in there. I was getting. They do a very unusual smoothie with dates involved, and I was getting one of them. Ben now, who lives like a wildcat. He bought pineapple and coconut.
As a drink, or
No, that's his meal. He's gone. I mentioned last week.
He's on bongo.
He's the healthiest man at Absolute by a very long country mile. I'll tell you that. His body's not a temple anymore; it's a cathedral.
By a long country mile. I heard someone on the train the other day saying, "Oh, I owe you a big pint the next time I see you." I'm thinking, well, that's surely a pint. A pint is a pint.
Oh, I like the idea of a big pint, though. It's like a pint delivered with bountiful attitudes.
A long country mile.
Yes. I've gone off the old accent topic altogether because I read the other way, they were talking about the Midlands accent getting more popular, and this is what it said in the paper. It said the Midlands accent as used by Adrian Chiles and Cat Deeley. And I thought, if I'm not featuring in a list of celebrities who use the West Midlands accent, then truly the finger of my clock is moving towards midnight. Let's face it. I mean, God, they could have gone just for the third. They could have gone the extra long country mile. I was absolutely heartbroken. Would be too strong a word. But I
won't do.
happy.
Is this a time? Well, I'm trying to do accent. You see, I can I'm working on an impression of you, Alan.
Oh, okay. Well, this should be interesting.
I think we should save that for the podcast.
Shall we? Okay.
Yeah, blood could be spilt. But here's a little task for you all the weekend. Try and do an accent that's completely original. Just try and say something in an accent that doesn't exist, a new accent. I tried it. I dislocated my jaw. I was in hospital for a month. It's impossible to do. You always do an accent. Just try it. Anyway, we can't sit here talking. Oh, that's our job. Yes, but it's Ben Jones's turn. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Not the Weekend podcast, probably featuring Emily's impression of the cockerel. Actually, it's not. You won't just be able to go... There's going to have to be actual bit of...
talking.
Yeah. That's available for download from Wednesday on the Absolute website and iTunes, and God, who knows, I've gone into areas I don't even know the answers to. Ben Jones is next. It's always lovely doing this job, and thank you for listening. And as the computer bloke says on Tron, end of line.
This is